Hi, and I'm Jeff Bennett, and welcome to our show. Today's topic is going to be I have a new security clearance. Now what? Now, this could be a new security clearance as an employee at a security cleared facility or as a brand new defense contractor that has recently received a facility clearance. So, there are some responsibilities. So, either way, if you are new to security clearances or getting onboarded with a security clearance at a new company, this show is for you. Welcome to DoD Secure. And again, I'm your host, Jeff Bennett. All right. And welcome again to DoD Secure. And this is our podcast and video episode sometimes of, how to get a security clearance and what you do once you get that security clearance. And so recently we've been talking a lot about how to get a security clearance. We talked about how to get a personnel security clearance and a facility security clearance. We covered those in depth. And so today we're going to talk about whether or not you own a company that has a facility security clearance or you're an employee of a company and they have given you a security clearance. So we're going to talk about the next steps. So your company is up and running and doing classified work according to the classified contract. And there are some responsibilities that you have to do at this point. The first one is to, of course, assign a facility security officer because they are going to, either full-time execute these security programs to protect classified information, manage the security clearances of the cleared employees, and many, many more tasks. If you want more information, again, I have a book out called The Insider's Guide to Security Clearances. And I have another book out called DoD Security Clearance and Contracts Guidebook. Insider's Guide to Security Clearances tells you how to get that security clearance. And DoD Security Clearance and Contracts Guidebook will show you how to perform on that classified contract. And so the purpose of this podcast is, to talk about that. What happens to a new employee, whether the employee is brand new and they're arriving with a security clearance, or an employee just got awarded a brand new security clearance. Either way, there's some things that need to be done, and it starts with the facility security officer. And for the sake of this podcast, we will call them the FSO instead of facility security officer. Be short, FSO for short. So once the security clearance is granted, the FSO will contact the cleared employee, and that's where things start moving pretty quickly. You may have been waiting a long time for this security clearance to pop up, but once you get the security clearance granted, according to the processes that we have discussed in past podcasts, this next part picks up pretty quickly because now the FSO has to get the employee or the newly cleared employee spun up with their, I guess, in other words, not really certifications, but spun up with what they do once they have the clearance granted. Primarily, if this employee has been sitting in a temporary position waiting for that security clearance to come up, well, then now it's time for them to move from that temporary position to that full-time position that they were originally hired to do. All right, so the FSO is managing the security clearances, and they're under the umbrella of the defense contractor's oversight. So the cleared defense contractor is overseeing these security clearances, and these security clearances reside on an information system that is provided by Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency. So they oversee the security clearances from the government point of view, and the cleared defense contractor and FSO oversee the individual security clearances from the defense contractor point of view. And so the FSO manages these security clearances. That means the FSO will maintain the facility security clearance status administratively, as well as they have a role of meeting requirements or compliance requirements. And we'll get into those a little bit later. But, they start this by providing the required training that the cleared employee has to go through and has to maintain. And so what they want to do is equip the cleared employee with protecting classified information, with the information they need, the training they need to perform the work designated by the classified contract. So The facility security officer is one of the first employees in the company that gets a security clearance. And so they must be certified as an FSO by going through the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency's training. We'll call them DICSA for short. And they'll go through this training and they'll become certified. They'll get a certificate of training, and they have to accomplish this within 1 year of becoming designated as a facility security officer. And then the DICSA representative will provide the FSO with their initial security briefings. For example, they'll provide the FSO with their initial security briefing, and then now the FSO can provide these briefings to the cleared employees. It does not have to come through the government anymore. So just as the FSO was certified with their security training, the FSO now trains the cleared employees. The FSO will manage the clearances, the training, the classified workspace, the classified documents. All this stuff will be managed by the FSO. So the FSO has to train the cleared employee how to protect it, because now the FSO and the Cleared Defense Contractor Organization will be undergoing reviews or inspections and vulnerability assessments by the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency. The training and the briefings that the FSO provides begin with a brand new cleared employee will sign a non-disclosure agreement called the SF-312, which stands for Standard Form 312, and it goes over the classification system, what to expect when you see classified information, the classification levels, and etc. This briefing should be provided to the cleared employee. Then the cleared employee, the brand new cleared employee, will sign the SF-312. Now, you don't have to do that one time in your career, because that SF-312 will go into the information system that we talked about earlier and be good for the life of that cleared employee, at least working on classified information. So if the cleared employee were to move and go to another company, they don't have to necessarily sign that 312 again. And then after the SF-312, before you can start your work on classified contracts, the FSO will ensure you meet 3 criteria. 1, you have to sign the SF-312. 2, you have a security clearance, and then you have the need to know that classified information. Because as we talked about before, not everybody with secret clearance gets to see all secret information. They have to have that need to know. And usually it's by contract. The first step is, the most difficult. There are 2, the other 2 are fairly easy. Whoever possesses the classified information will determine whether or not to provide access to that classified information. So if you're assigned to work on a classified contract, that contract relationship and the work that's assigned to you are part of that need to know process. So let's understand the need to know, or the non-disclosure agreement. As a new cleared employee, you'll be assigning that agreement. Instead of just checking a box to agree, perhaps it might be in that cleared defense contractor's best interest to provide a good briefing and pay attention, or help the employee pay attention to what is required of them. They should understand exactly what it means to work with that classified information, because that is a great responsibility. As we covered before, the unauthorized disclosure of classified information causes damage to our national security. Classified information, confidential information causes damage, and that damage progresses to secret, and then to top secret, of course, causes the most damage out of those 3. So we want to make sure the employee understands what is classified and what their responsibilities are for making sure that classified information doesn't get presented to somebody who doesn't have a clearance and somebody who doesn't have that need to know. And then so the SF-312 briefing explains what classified information is, how the government designates this as classified, what the levels are, and how to protect it from unauthorized disclosure. And so that's the cleared employee's first introduction to that topic. After this, they'll be provided something called the initial security awareness briefing.